I love the NES. After the Atari 2600, which was the first console I had, the NES was magical to me. It still holds up for me to this day. Not saying all games are great for it or have aged well, but many of the ones I loved from the 80s and 90s are still fun when I want to play them now. So it's awesome when indie devs keep the system alive by producing new games for the NES. I like gaming in general. I'm not against modern gaming, but new old games do get me excited. So it's really fun to play a new retro-inspired game for an old console. And today, we're going to be quickly taking a look at an NES game that came out a few years ago from Broke Studio. They are a team of 3 guys from France who made a platforming demo or prototype for the NES that received a lot of attention at the time. They actually won a coding competition with this game. And with all the positive feedback they were receiving, they decided to continue working on it and make it a full-fledged game. That game, if you haven't already been able to tell, is Twin Dragons. So I got a limited edition copy of the actual NES cartridge from Pixel Heart. It came numbered with a manual, certificate of authenticity, couple stickers, and it cost around $40 US. I'll have a link down below if you want to check it out. They also sell a bunch of other stuff, so nice little website. But back to the game. So Twin Dragons is a action platformer where you play as the Twin Dragons Dinky and Minky. They're siblings, and they are expecting a new brother or sister to hatch soon. So while their parents were out, a sorcerer comes and steals the egg. Now it's your job to save it. Pretty simple. So both dragons are similar, but one can fly, the other can swim. They could both walk, obviously, but you go through different stages, collecting green chili peppers, which they're like coins in Super Mario. Once you get like 100 of them, you get an extra life. Then there are red peppers every once in a while, which will give the green dragon extra fire breathing that can deal more damage to enemies. Then the red dragon can get a power-up that lets you momentarily freeze enemies. It's a little blue popsicle. And that's pretty much it for power-ups. I didn't see any others. So the game is fairly straightforward and simple with most of its stages. You're either platforming, flying, or swimming through different obstacles and, backgrounds and environments. Most of the levels have multiple stages and then an end boss. Now, there are several difficulty options you could choose from, easy, normal, and hard. But I kind of wish on the normal difficulty there was a little bit more fine-tuning. I'm not saying the game is unforgiving or cheap in any way. It does pose a fair challenge in my opinion. But on the normal difficulty, I do wish some of the enemies took less hits to kill. The only reason I say that is because with your typical way of programming the challenge in a game like this, on easy you'll have like more life total and then enemies take less hits. Here, on normal you have less life hits or hits you could take to your life, and then enemies take more damage. Same thing with the hard difficulty. Normal is how I want to play, but it's not the biggest issue. It just seems like in a few areas there will be enemies who hog platforms or areas and making it difficult for you to pass without killing them first. And it just slows things down because some of the enemies are sponges with your normal attack. And that kind of sucks. You just got to slow down, stop, take forever to kill an enemy, and then pass. It only happens in a few areas where you can't just bypass them, and it's a minor annoyance. I mean, you don't want to take the hit, so you don't jump to the platform before killing the bad guy. Yeah, just a minor nitpick, all right? Nothing major. Only happened a few times, and it was just an observation I wanted to share. Yeah, gotta criticize what I feel like criticizing. That was pretty much the only thing. I mean, the game does progressively and naturally get more difficult, and what I just talked about with enemies taking more hits isn't really part of the difficulty. But the first few bosses, they're fairly easy. Now, they have different patterns, and there's different strategies to kill them. And after you defeat the first couple bosses, it kind of eases you into what to expect with the challenge going forward, as everything does start to get a little bit more challenging, bosses having different patterns and doing quite a bit more, and it becomes more interesting. Now, the game controls extremely well. I didn't have any issues with how things felt. It was very reactive. It just worked. Jumping felt good, moving left and right, all that kind of stuff. The animations and colorful graphics looked great. The variety of stages and how they were designed was nice. It really does feel like a game I'd have rented back in the day and enjoyed. I didn't want to put this one down despite the few minor nitpicks I had. I really did like this game. It was a fair challenge and one I think is worth checking out if you enjoy NES platformers. So that's it. Quick little review. Appreciate you guys watching. Let me know what you think. Bye.